What's going on, family? Welcome to another edition of Creating Habits. We are live right now. My name is Jarrell Henderson, and actually live from another. We are officially live from Egypt. Listen, so today I wanted to talk about um, business credit and getting your event space, whether or not you have business credit. Um, and can you still start the business if you have business credit? The first thing that I want to bring to your attention is the first thing in short, yes, you can start the business if you don't have business credit. What I see so much is a lot of people they ask about funding. I did a funding class yesterday. They ask about funding, and the problem is that everybody's going out and they're searching for this business credit funding, but you haven't even secured how you're going to number one, promote the business. Number two, how you're going to make the money from the business. So I think that the real question should be, and the real thing that you should really be going after is how you're going to make money in the business. Like, I think that's one of the major things that you want to figure out first. Like, yes, you can get the business, you can get to the business credit to actually start the business. I'm not saying that's a bad idea at all, but I'm also saying that a lot of people put so much money on the funding side and don't put the time and the energy into the the marketing side. They don't put the time and the energy into the making money side. Like, you have to make money. You have to get paid with the business, or else you're going to be sitting there with, you're going to have got all this business credit, charged all this stuff, all the credit cards, all the loans, and then you're going to be scrambling. Well, how do I pay this stuff back? Well, you're gonna the way that you pay it back is by being able to is by actually getting bookings for the event space. But you got to have a marketing strategy and plan for your event space. So, is it one over the other? Not necessarily. Well, but at the same time, I think it's more so do them at the same time. So as you're looking to build your business credit, you should always also have a solid marketing plan, like a super solid marketing plan, like um, and that marketing plan needs to be like, how often are we posting, who are we contacting, what sort of mailing are we sending out, do we are we putting anything on our cards, are we hosting any mixers or functions, because like when it comes to your business credit, again, if you go out and you get like a $10,000 loan, you're approved for it from like a credit union. And I would say, like, when you're looking at business credit, you want to look at like the credit unions and stuff like that. And of course, you got to build like the net 30s and stuff like that. But there are several tiers to building business credit. So it's not like an overnight thing. And a lot of people make it seem like it's just some overnight thing. And it's not necessarily that, unless you have really a solid business that's generating income. Like, a lot of business credit, they're going to want to see the income that you're generating. So that's why I say focus on getting the income up first, and then, or do them both at the same time. Because like, one of the major things that I've learned is that you have to put in, you want to put in like $5,000 or $10,000 in the account that you start, because your bank is going to give you like a bank rating. So it's like, with your when you're looking to start your business, your events based business, yes, business credit is important. But I personally believe, this is just my opinion, that you might want to start focusing even stronger on your marketing plan. Like, I wish I could go back to when we first started, when my wife and I first started, and just like really dive even more into the marketing plan. Because the more people are aware of who you are and what you have to offer them, the easier that it is for them to be willing to exchange money for your services. Because if nobody knows you, and if nobody likes you, and if they don't trust you, then they're not going to spend money with you. And it's the same thing with the bank. When in terms of you establishing your business credit, if they don't know, they don't know how long your business has been around. If you haven't put any money in the account, like, they have to trust you, and you have to do things for them to trust you. You have to have your LLC established. You have to have your EIN. You have to have the DUNS number. You have to already starting to have established some level. But when everybody talks about funding, all you see is people, oh, go and get $10,000, $20,000 in funding. But no one's saying, go and actually make you some why don't you go and actually make you some money, so that once you get the funding, the bills start coming in, because it's not like you're going to get the funding and you never got to pay it back. That's like, I feel like a lot of people talk so much about funding, but they're talking about it as if you never have to pay it back. Nobody ever says, hey, get the funding, and then how are you going to pay it back? You got to pay this money back. So that means you need to have a solid marketing plan in place so you can make money, so you can attract clients, so you can attract customers. So I want you to consider that. I really, really want you to consider that when you're looking at your business credit. Like, should you start it? Ask yourself, do you have a solid marketing plan? Ask yourself, how are you going to make your first $100 for your event? Ask yourself how much money your event is going to be. Do you have all of those things in place? Because everyone's just like, oh, well, I need all this money to start. If you need money to start, I get it. But even if you need the money to start, they're still going to require that you have a solid business plan to show them, showing how you're going to make the money. Everyone's always so focused and concerned, well, I'm just going to go to the bank and I'm just going to get this loan. It's not really going to work like that if you don't have something. You got to either show them revenue that you've already made, or they're going to more than likely want to see how you're going to make the money. Like if you go to an investor, they're going to want to see a business plan, a solid one, on how you're going to make the money before they just say, oh, here you go. So in order to get to where you want to go, you have to have a plan in place of how you're going to get there. What's the plan on how you're going to make your first 10,000? Are you already putting money into your business bank account? Have you gotten your LLC, your EIN, your DUNS? Is your website properly set up with a business phone number? Like, do you have all of these things? Do you have your business email? Like, it's like you can't skip steps. Like with business, with anything, with the process, you can't skip the steps of the process. And it's like, I see so many people saying like, well, I just want this, but you have to go through these steps to get to the thing that you want. If it's the funding, you got to go through the steps. And a lot of the times, like, if you don't even know how much it costs, you can't say that you need funding because you don't yet know how much it costs. So you have to, at the very least, know how much your space is going to cost. Start looking, and commit to the process, and then get the funding as you go, because then you'll know how much it's going to cost. But yes, you're going to need some sort of credit. Yes, you're going to need, some sort of money in the account, especially if you're looking at straight business credit funding. If you're not leveraging any personal credit cards. I know people who've leveraged their personal credit. I know people who've gotten the business credit. But it's like you need something. You have to have some sort of skin in the game for the funding. And that skin in the game means that, like, either you're doing it by personal credit, either you built up the business credit and you have revenue already coming in. But you have to have some skin in the game. You have to have something. And I feel as though a lot of people are being misled. And I don't want to be that person, like, telling you that you don't, like, yeah, you can just get all this funding you don't need. Like, yes, of course, there are no documentation loans out there that there are no doc loans out there that some loans offer a minimum credit requirement of like 500 or 550. But I don't claim to be like a credit whiz or anything like that, or a credit guru or nothing like that. I don't claim to be that. So it's like, it's one of those things where you have to go and do your own research when it comes to that sort of thing, when you're talking about no documentation loan. But there are still steps that you have to take. There are still steps that you have to have, things that you have to have in place to get the no documentation loan. There's still preparation. So it's like, I feel like I don't want you to be misled. I don't want you to think that you can just go out here, you can just get all this money and you don't need anything. And it's better that if you have a plan in place, if you have your business plan in place, so now you can attract investors. So now you can, or you have the business bank account. So now the banks, you establish the relationship with the bank, and now they're like, oh, you've been banking with us with this business account for 3 months, and you've held $5,000 to $10,000 in there, and you've made minimal smaller transactions, and you've steadily made deposits in the account. Yes, we're willing to give you money because we see you're responsible. So it's like, you have to think about all sides of it when it comes to building the credit. But I'm not saying business credit. I want to end this by saying business credit is not a bad thing to go after, but make sure you have a marketing plan in place of how you're going to make the money. Once you get the credit, how are you going to pay this money back? Because people, what we have to understand is people don't book your event space just because you got your event space. There are a ton of event spaces out there. What's going to separate you from the person up the street, down the street? No one is telling you the real sides of it. Like the first couple of months of the business might be a struggle, especially if you don't get any sort of marketing mentorship period. You have to get with someone who's been there before, and because they're going to be your GPS to show you exactly what to do and what not to do, so you can actually accelerate fast. Because that's the key. You want to get to where you're going fast. It's easier to make a lot of money in a short period of time than it is to make a lot of money in a longer period of time, because what makes it easier is because you condense the time. People always complain about get rich quick schemes, but what do you want to get rich slow? And it's not even a scheme. Do you really want to get rich slow? No, you don't. So you want to make a lot of money in a short period of time, and you don't want to do it really fast, versus taking years to make a lot of money. So best piece of advice: have a strong marketing plan, business plan, all those things in order. Get you a business bank account, have that stuff in order. Put money into these accounts, especially when you start them. That's one of the biggest mistakes people make. They don't put money in the account. Like, I'm telling you all mistakes that telling you, I'm like really telling you, I'm speaking from experience. Like, I'm telling you, like, don't make the same mistakes that I've made or other people made, and stop and like do your research with people that are just telling you like, yeah, you can get all this money and do all this. Like, it's not saying that you can't, but you want to have something in place so that you can pay the money back. That means you want to have income so you can pay it back. All right. So peace and blessings. I'm about to go out and enjoy the rest of the day. About to go out and enjoy the rest of the day. Peace.